Tonight, when your room gets dark, you will probably defeat the darkness with one lazy finger. Click. The ceiling lights turn on. The foam glows. The fridge hums. A tiny blue rectangle tells your brain, even though your body is quietly begging you to stop arguing with biology. Now imagine your ancient ancestor at sunset. No lamps, no phone, no porch light, no glowing microwave clock judging them at midnight. Just trees turning black, animal sounds getting louder, and the slow feeling that the world is closing its eyes. Before we go deeper, tap like if you have ever stayed awake. Ancient humans would probably stare at you in confusion. Then ask why your magic rock is stealing your sleep. For most of human history, night was not empty time. It was not just the boring part between dinner and breakfast. Night was dangerous, social, mysterious, and strangely important. It shaped how people slept, how they bonded, how they told stories, and maybe even how they understood themselves. The first big difference was fear. Modern darkness is usually fake darkness. Even when your lights are off, there may be streetlights outside. Charger lights blinking, cars passing, neighbors watching television, and a bathroom light you left on. Because stepping on a shoe at 2 a.m. feels like a medical emergency. Ancient darkness was different. It was thick. It swallowed distance. A bush could be a bush. A sound in the grass could be wind. Or it could be the last sound you heard. Humans are smart, but we are not naturally built like night predators. We do not see in the dark like cats. We do not smell like wolves. We do not move silently like leopards. Our great superpower was not being the strongest creature at night. It was gathering together and making the night less powerful. That is where fire enters the story. Evidence suggests humans were using fire very far back in prehistory. Scientists still debate exactly when regular control of fire became common. But many researchers agree that fire changed human life in a huge way. Fire cooked food. Fire gave warmth. Fire scared away some animals. Fire made a little glowing island in a sea of darkness. And that island mattered. Around a fire, people could do something almost no other animal could do safely after sunset. They could stay awake together. They could look at faces. They could repair tools. They could share food. They could listen. But here is the interesting part. The fire did not just help humans survive the night. It may have helped humans become more human. During the day, ancient life was practical. Find food, watch children, track animals, gather plants, carry wood, check the weather, avoid injury. Remember where the water is. Do not annoy the person holding the sharp stone. Daytime talk was probably full of useful information. Where did the herd go? Which berries are ripe? Who saw tracks near the river? Why is that guy limping? Did anyone remember the digging stick? But after dark, when the work slowed down and the fire pulled everyone into a circle, the mood changed. The human brain had space to wander. People could talk about things that were not directly in front of them. A hunt from long ago. A strange dream. A dead grandparent. A place beyond the hills. A warning about a greedy person. The funny story about someone falling into mud while trying to look brave. That may sound simple, but it is enormous. Stories are not just entertainment. Stories teach rules. They explain danger. They build trust. They make children remember what adults learned the hard way. They let people practice fear without being eaten. They let a group share the same invisible world. The campfire was not just ancient television. It was school, theater, news, comedy club, family meeting, therapy session, and group chat, all powered by burning sticks. And unlike your group chat, nobody could send a random picture of lunch. Scientists who study hunter-gatherer groups, daytime often leans toward practical matters. Nighttime can become more playful, emotional, imaginative, and story-focused. That does not mean every night was magical. Some nights were cold. Some nights, people argued. Some nights, everyone was tired and smelled like smoke. But the pattern matters. When humans had fire, they gained extra social time. Not just time to work, but time to imagine. And imagination is dangerous in the best possible way. Because once a human can imagine tomorrow, they can plan. Once they can imagine another person feeling pain, they can comfort. Once they can imagine a spirit, a rule, a future hunt, a better tool, or a different life, culture begins to grow. So when ancient humans sat at night, they were not wasting time. They were building memory. They were building belonging. They were building the invisible glue that holds a group together. And then, after the fire had burned lower and the stories softened, something else happened that may surprise you. They did not always sleep the way you think. Part 2. For many modern people, sleep means one solid block. You get in bed, disappear for 8 hours, then wake up with your hair looking like a frightened animal. At least, that is the dream. But evidence from history and sleep research suggests humans, before bright artificial light became normal, many people seem to have slept in 2 parts. First sleep, then a quiet, wakeful period, then second sleep. Imagine an ancient night like this. The group eats. The fire glows. Someone tells a story that makes the children scoot closer. The oldest person in camp adds one tiny. Everyone pretends they are not scared. Then people drift into sleep. A few hours later, some wake up naturally, not in panic, not because an app screamed at them, just awake in the deep middle of the night. This time was strange and valuable. The world was quiet. The fire might be low. The stars were bright enough to feel like a ceiling full of holes. A person could listen to breathing nearby, think about a dream, remember someone who died, or wonder why the moon kept changing shape like it had commitment issues. Subscribe if you like strange little pieces of human history like this, because sometimes the weirdest facts are actually about your own body. That middle night waking was not necessarily a problem. It may have been part of a normal rhythm in darker worlds. Without electric lights pushing the evening later and later, the body had a different relationship with night. Modern light changed that relationship. Street lamps, gas lamps, electric bulbs, televisions, laptops, and phones slowly turned night into a second daytime. That sounds convenient. And honestly, it is. Nobody wants to get chased by a raccoon while searching for the bathroom. But our brains did not evolve under ceiling lights. Your body uses light as a signal. Bright light tells your brain that the day is still happening. Darkness tells your brain to prepare for sleep. So when you stare into a glowing screen late at night, your ancient body may receive a very confusing message. The sun is back. Stay alert. Maybe hunt emails. This is part of why modern sleep can feel so broken. We live with ancient biology inside a world that keeps shouting daytime. Our ancestors had fear at night, but they also had darkness. We have safety at night, but we also have endless light. And maybe we lost something quieter. Ancient night gave people pauses. It gave them silence. They could not easily escape. It gave them stars, whispers, dreams, and long. A person awake in the middle of the night did not grab a phone. They had to sit with their own mind. That sounds peaceful, and also sounds terrifying, because modern life is very good at protecting us from boredom. Ancient life had plenty of boredom, and boredom is where the mind starts making connections. It remembers, it imagines, it worries, it invents. Somewhere in those dark hours, people may have solved social problems, planned hunts, created myths, taught children, comforted each other, and turned scary darkness into shared meaning. This does not mean ancient nights were better. They had predators, cold, hunger, sickness, and no emergency room. Nobody should romanticize being one infected cut away from disaster. But ancient nights were different in a way that matters. They remind us that humans are not just daytime workers. We are night thinkers too. We are creatures shaped by darkness, firelight, fear, sleep, dreams, and stories told when the world became too dark to do anything else. So the next time you wake up at 2 a.m., maybe you not instantly decide your body is broken. Maybe for one quiet minute, before the fallen winds, remember that millions of people before you, they listened, they wondered, they waited for the second sleep. And maybe that small dark space was not empty at all. Maybe it was one of the places where human upgrade you. Thanks you for watching. The night was never just the end of the day. It was where the human story kept glowing after the sun disappeared.